Everyone always tells you how amazing living abroad is, and in many ways it is. But there are challenges that nobody prepares you for, feeling isolated, not understanding the culture, or even the language. So today I want to share with you guys the hardest things that I've experienced since moving from California all the way to Norway. Alright, so getting to a new city for the first time can be extremely exciting, exhilarating. You're in the place you've always wanted to be, and you're so excited. And that can last for a while. Doing things, adjusting to things, you're just so excited to be there that you don't really think about other things in that country. But as that excitement starts to fade, that's when you realize, oh no, I don't have the same support system. I'm lonely now. I don't have that many friends, or I don't have any friends. And it can be a real struggle. It's basically like going to a college, right? And you don't know anyone, but that's your whole life. And you can't drive back, because if you go to college and you don't know people, you can always drive back to your house or fly back if it's close by. But here, when you go to a new place abroad, you cannot go back home like that. So I think that it's a real struggle, because you lose your system you had. You can't just go ask a friend, hey, you want to have coffee anymore? You have to fend for yourself or find new friends. And that can be especially hard when you're in a place you don't speak the language, or you don't know what's going on or how to talk to people or make friends. And I definitely felt this, even though I do have a Norwegian wife, luckily, but I especially felt this moving abroad, because I felt lonely at times. I didn't know how to interact with people or speak the language, or I didn't know where to even go to make friends. And it's kind of weird to just approach somebody in a cafe or store and be like, hey, you want to be friends? And especially here in Norway, I don't think that would work, but I'm still adjusting, and I'm finding ways to meet people. All right, and the next thing I'm going to be talking about is friends and family and missing them back home. So, of course, when you move abroad, you start to miss your friends and family. You might see them doing all these things and you feel left out, because, you're so far away. Especially your family too, because, if you're homesick or if it's your first time moving abroad, that's going to be a big one, because you'll want to see them. You'll feel points where you're extremely sad or extremely lonely. But I think especially for me, when I first came to Norway, it was a big deal for me too, because I was like, oh man, I wish I was back in California with my friends doing all these crazy things. And I wish I was with my family, because I miss them a lot. And it really did hit at some points, it felt like, oh, I want to go back home. I want to fly back home. But I think that after a while, you get used to it and you start to see that, oh yeah, it might suck and you might be sad, but you can see them, at points. It's not like you're never going to see them again. So I think that the challenge with living abroad, one of them is, for sure, being lonely and missing your friends, because it's not like you can drive 20 minutes to see your friends or 20 minutes to have dinner with your family. You're kind of stuck in your little bubble and you can't really go that far. You can't fly across the world, especially back to the US or back to wherever you're staying. So that's one of the struggles that I had, especially, and I'm adjusting to it now, because, I realize I can call my friends. And, the time difference definitely messes with that too, because if you're in Europe and your friends are in the US, that's like a 9-hour, 8-hour time difference. And that's a big one too. All right, the next point I'm going to be talking about is traveling back home. Now, this is a big one for me, because obviously now I live in Norway and I used to live in California. So traveling back home for me can be a very big hassle. It can be very mentally draining, stressful, lots of jet lag, because as you guys know, there's a 9-hour time difference, and expensive, because from here to California, it can be pretty expensive to go on flights. So I think that this was a big one for me, because I can't just go home whenever I want to visit my family. Yes, I can go a couple times a year, but it's not like you're at school and you can just drive back to see your family, or you can just go on a short flight. No, you have to go on a very long flight, and that can be very time consuming and jet lag. And I just don't like being on planes for that long, especially 10, 11 hours. And it took me a while to, adjust to this, because at times I'd be very lonely. I would miss them a lot. I'd want to go back. But then I was thinking, hey, when I was in California, I really wanted to go to Europe. And then when I'm in Europe, I really want to go to California. So there's I don't know which one to do. I'm torn between both. And I think that it's great to experience something that you're not used to, so you get out of your comfort zone. And I think it really made me feel very nervous at times, but it's been great. And I think, I can still visit my parents. It's not like I'm never going to be able to go back to California again. It just may not be as much as I'd like, but it's not like you can never go back. So I think it's a great thing to experience. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is feeling isolated in social settings. Now, I feel like this is one that most people don't talk about, And you can be in a room full of people at a party, at a cafe, or even with your partner's family, and you can still feel very isolated because you don't understand what they're saying or why they're doing certain things. And I remember I first experienced this when I came to Norway, especially with my partner's family, because everyone was sitting at the table talking, and I didn't understand what they were saying. They could have been saying, "This American is so annoying," or things that I just didn't understand, and it felt very awkward and nerve-wracking because I hope they were saying nice stuff. I mean, they were, but I didn't understand it at the time. And even if you're at a cafe or at a party, people can be talking around you and you just feel left out, even if you're there, because you don't understand the language and you don't understand what people are doing. So this really hit me, I think, even when I was just walking around or at cafes, because I would see people interacting with each other and I was there wishing, oh, I wish I could interact with those people, or I wish I could talk to them. But in Norway, people are very introverted, so I think it's pretty hard, and I don't think it would work if I just walked up to somebody and said, "Hey, do you want to go for coffee?" or "Hey, do you want to hang out?" or "Hey, do you want to do this?" I don't think that would work very well. So I think it takes some time to adjust to, and once you do adjust to it, you feel a lot better because you can somewhat understand what they're doing. Yeah, so living abroad is amazing in so many different ways, but I think those are some reasons that people don't talk about. So yeah, that's my video. Thank you so much for watching. I want to shout out my members right here, as always, in the top right corner. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.